Hey guys, it's Chris, and we're going to do something a little bit different today. I know we usually do Game of Thrones, Star Wars content, that type of thing, but I'm back with my cousin Chad, and we're going to do something we've been talking about for, I don't know, months.
Yeah, long time. We've been talking about doing this video for quite a while.
Yes, and we're going to talk about Bigfoot. That's right, Sasquatch, and why it's bullshit, but possible.
Possible, but not very likely. There's a lot of people who believe in Bigfoot. There's a lot of people who believe that Bigfoot is not real. There are pieces of evidence to support and also deny the fact that Bigfoot does or does not exist. And depending on who you ask, each side has their own set of experts who have gone through all of the information, all of the evidence, and they have either proven it or disproven it based on which camp you're in. It seems to be biased, even though they come out and they say, no, this was done by third-party studies, yada, 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 whatever, bipartisan committees.
Right.
But the bottom line is that either you believe it or you don't believe it. There's no evidence to prove that it exists, and there's also no evidence to prove that it doesn't exist.
Exactly. And let me just say, this was actually inspired by the TV show, because now we watch shows like Finding Bigfoot, and I think Les Stroud does the Bigfoot Survivor Man for purely entertainment purposes, because they take a noise in the woods and they know it's absolutely got to be Bigfoot. They find a deer bone and it has to be a Squatch kill, you know, and so it's almost laughable now. But again, I still remain with an open mind about things, because you never know. I made a point to, I think sometimes you're out in the woods, we go camping a lot, and we know there's tons of deer, we know there's a shitload of bear everywhere, but you rarely see them.
Maybe you heard a noise that you couldn't explain. Maybe you heard a call off in the distance you couldn't explain. But now that's like one of the biggest things, is that now, because of TV shows like that, and because since the 60s with the Patterson-Gimlin film and the Bigfoot craze that came from it, now there are people out there who are looking for Bigfoot. So if you go out at 2 o'clock in the morning into the middle of nowhere, you're probably going to hear some tree knocks.
Right, and of course that plays into the placebo effect, because if you're looking for something, you're going to find evidence for it. Plus, now with all the shows, the popularity of Finding Bigfoot and all these other shows, people go out and actually hoax more now. I mean, I know I thought about it because they came to an area near us, a place where I go camping quite often, a national forest in the area. The show Finding Bigfoot. I knew they were going to be there a month before they came, and I actually thought about going and fucking tree knocking in the woods while they were out doing their little night hunts.
Yeah, and we went camping there not too long after that, and we're hearing some tree knocks, and we were like, "Oh, did you hear that tree knock?" And for a second, you catch yourself going, "Oh my God, there really are apes in our woods knocking on trees with other pieces of wood," and then you're like, "Sound travels very far." This is a very sparsely populated national forest area. Everybody out there now is into the Bigfoot craze. I mean, it's just a huge thing. So calls, tree knocks, prints, all that stuff are becoming more and more
tree breaks. When you know about it, when you learn about it, when you start watching all these shows, you start to actually, when you go camping and things like that, you actually start looking for those things. And that's shit you never even noticed before, that was a tree knocked over a certain way, or been a certain way towards a path or a trail, and you didn't notice that before, but then all of a sudden you watch these shows and you start letting your mind kind of wander into,
It becomes sort of a manifest destiny, a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
Me personally, I hope that they find Bigfoot one day. I really do, because that would be really cool. I would love if they would find it. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he's wrong. I hope all the skeptics are wrong. We hope that. But I think the number one piece of evidence, the hurdle that we can't get past, at least on my end, I don't know if I can speak for you, is the sustainable breeding population. If there is one Bigfoot out there, then there must be thousands and thousands of Bigfoot, because if you look at the map where all of the Bigfoot sightings and witnesses have been put in the northern American continent, I mean, it's probably sightings in 40 out of the 50 states.
I think it's been pretty much every state, but probably maybe even Hawaii. I don't know. It's been everywhere, and mainly the Pacific Northwest.
But if that's true, then there must be hundreds of thousands. In the very least, even if it's a population that's endangered, there has to be tens of thousands of them out there in order for all these sightings and all of the eyewitness accounts, which everybody puts so much faith in. All the believers want to put so much into the eyewitness testimony and say, oh, well, this person really has no reason to lie. I don't think they misidentified, yada, yada, yada. If all of that, then they are saying 50% or 20% or even 10% of the sightings are true, there's got to be thousands of them. How have we not run into these things?
There has to be. And there is, going to one of the points that kind of support the idea that Sasquatch exists, there is plenty of space for them. There is plenty of space out there. People, I think, underestimate, just due to TV and not getting out of their own damn house, how much actual open space there is out there. How much mass amounts of land, whether it's protected forest, national forest, state parks, whatever. There's so much land out there. There's a possibility that's true, but then again, it kind of goes back to the point I was saying. We know there's millions of deer, but you don't see them that often. But you do see them.
And if everybody reported a bear sighting, which there's tons of people who see
Right.
bears out, and they just like, I see one from time to time. They don't report it, but if every single person reported every single bear they see on a daily basis, there would probably be dozens of sightings of bears every single day in more than just one place. I mean, it would be all over the map. For God's sake, when I drive through Louisiana, there's bear crossing signs in Louisiana. So you see bears, tons, and you see evidence of bears. And that kind of leads me to another point, is that everybody says, well, if there is a huge ape out there in the woods, they have to be eating such mass quantities. But bears are very large animals, and they survive on a mostly herbivore diet. It's
Right.
mostly plants,
Berries and shit.
nuts, and
Right.
leaves, and edibles, and things like that. They don't eat a lot of animals. They might eat fish and things like that, but Bigfoot doesn't have to eat a lot of meat and kill every deer in the forest.
Right, and the other side of that coin, I think, is that when you see a bear, you're not surprised. It ends up on Facebook as some hunter had their cell phone out and recorded it. But if somebody actually would film a Sasquatch, well, then all of a sudden they're crazy. Nobody's going to believe it. It's got to be a hoaxer. The point being that the deck is stacked against the people who actually study this thing and trying to figure it out for real, like
true.
I think a Les Stroud, because there's so many hoaxers. And if you do take a picture that's questionable, well, then they're trying to explain it off.
Right.
As a bear or something else, or misidentification or what have you.
The biggest piece of evidence, and the most predominant, and the one that everybody knows of, even if you don't follow Bigfoot, that's been around since the 60s, is the Patterson-Gimlin film. This is Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin went out into the woods. They were on horseback. He had rented a small portable video camera. They took it out. A lot of people say he was out there for the purpose of filming a hoax movie, and then other people say he was out there just filming, and then other people say he was out there filming what he thought was a legitimate Bigfoot. My question with that film is this: if you see him walking across the screen, which he would be coming this way, then you kind of stumble over a log and he repositions and he gets himself fixed in a point to where he can get film that's not bouncing around all over the place and try and get a stable mount to shoot. It walks away. It's just walking. It's not running. So why not walk after it? Why not follow
Right.
after it? Why not
That's
follow those
always the
tracks?
case with every single film, is they never go after it. Yes, if I've seen something 8 foot tall and hairy in the woods, I'd probably shit myself. But at the same time, if you're out there on one of these trackers and you're looking for them, they just film, and it's always this blur thing. Everything shoots in 1080p, including your phones these days, but they can't ever get anything clear. They're stumbling through the woods, it's blurry, it's whatever, and they never go after the damn thing, ever.
Exactly. And they all say, I was freaking out, I got the heck out of there. And it's like, okay, then come back shortly thereafter once you get yourself together and follow the tracks. Hire a tracker.
But when you talk to them away from the scene, then they're all badass, and they will, I'd shoot that motherfucker if he was on my land.
And I get it, you don't want to shoot a Bigfoot because it's like, okay, you don't want to kill something that is potentially, number one, endangered, and number two, that is a beautiful living creature. You just don't want to kill it. Okay, let's wound it. Every hunter who goes out, I know tons of hunters, we're in the South, they all have guns, they all have rifles, and every single one of them can shoot the wings off of a gnat from 1,000 yards away with their 30-06 and their scope and all this. Every one of them could shoot anything. They could shoot a bird in the sky moving at 100 miles an hour, every one of them. But then as soon as these hunters get in front of a Bigfoot, it's like, You can't hit a kneecap on an 8-foot animal that's 10 feet away from you, or 100 feet away from you, or even 100 yards away from you.
That's standing there throwing rocks at you,
Exactly.
beating his chest.
Come on, man. Just get some blood. Make some blood droplets.
Right.
It won't kill him.
But the bottom line is this: there's never any scat. There's never any hair. There are footprints on occasion, but you never see. You always have like the single one, like they're hopping along on one damn leg. You never see, all the way through, and like you would track any human, any military guy or any tracker could track any animal, any human. You never find that pattern where it's actually going somewhere. It just disappears.
Now, everybody's heard the theories about how porcupines and other small animals like that come along and eat all the bones, and that would explain all the bones being gone.
Right.
Every single last one. There's not one toe bone anywhere.
No,
nothing.
No, there can't be.
Every single hair sample I've ever heard of that's been tested has been inconclusive. They even might come out and say, well, it does seem to have some sort of mammalian or even ape-like DNA. Yeah, and it might have been contaminated also by humans or dogs or bears or anything else that comes along there. I mean, there's tons of ways to contaminate it. Until you can get something definitive, I'm sorry, it's possible,
right?
But it's not.
And you can't go off people, even though I think there's a lot of people out there who legitimately think they saw something.
Yeah.
You can't go off that. It's not proof in and of itself. You can't use that scientifically, and that's the goal. And that's where I appreciate Les Stroud's show, Survivor Man Bigfoot. Right. He's actually trying to use the scientific method to prove or disprove, and he's trying to remain neutral and not be pulled into the, oh, I heard a weird noise, but he's going off his experience as a survivalist, as opposed to the Finding Bigfoot crowd. And all the people in their town halls are part of their organization in that local area.
That's the part they don't tell you about that show.
Right.
They present it in the show as these are just common, ordinary people who just come into the town hall meeting and they show up. But every one of them is a member of the Bigfoot Research Organization, the BFRO. They all come in because they know they're coming in. So when you see all the hands go up in the town hall and you're like, wow, that's 90% of the people in the room, it's because they're members of the BFRO. They already believe in Bigfoot. They want to be part of it.
They're already on that side of the fence. They don't have an open mind as to that might have not been a Bigfoot.
And tons of witnesses, it's like they seem perfectly believable. Maybe it's an upstanding member of society. They have no reason to lie. They have nothing to gain by it. They were in hiding for years, and they just now brought it up just because they wanted to finally get an answer. And I agree, there's tons of people out there that seem totally believable and legit. And it seems like they didn't misidentify something. They didn't see a bear walking on hind legs or a tree branch that was blowing in the shadows. It seems like that. But the bottom line is that if you look at it from a legal standpoint, in our court system, you are innocent until proven guilty. And in science, the same thing. You don't exist until you are proven to exist. So all the people running around saying this is how Bigfoot behaves, this is what Bigfoot eats, this is what a Bigfoot sounds like, that is what a Bigfoot track looks like, you have no idea.
And then these so-called experts always claim to have, this is definitely a Squatch kill because this leg was twisted on this deer.
How do you know that?
It's completely made up. And then every sound has to be a Bigfoot. So one explanation could be is this wild man explanation. What that is there's certain Native American tribes that have some kind of rite of passage for its males where they go out at a certain age and they spend, I guess, about 10 years in solitude on their own, completely in the wild. And I think that's been explained in certain areas as far as some of the sightings. Down in Florida, for example, you have the sightings down there, but when you look into it, it seems to be that there is an ape population down there, chimpanzee population, because back in the 60s and 70s, a lot of people had those animals before it was illegal. And then when they got too big and powerful, they let them go. So now there's a sustained wild chimpanzee population in the area.
Chimpanzees, all of that.
Now the Pacific Northwest obviously has the most sightings in the United States, up in Canada, that type of thing.
But that's also where people are making money off of the Bigfoot legend.
That's right.
It feeds their need to continue that. And also that's where most people talk about it. It's kind of like down here, everybody talks about fried stuff, so there's a lot of fried stuff down here. You know what I mean? So up there, they got the Bigfoot thing.
And now there's more evidence just due to the popularity of the Bigfoot phenomenon and the shows and all that kind of stuff.
So in the Les Stroud video, or in one of the Bigfoot episodes anyway, he was talking about tree breaks and how some of the tree breaks are in these weird configurations, and they end up kind of the bottom of the tree would end up in the top somehow, and
Yeah, and they
tucked in
couldn't
with
fit
this
certain
one.
ways with the teepee naturally. It had to be stacked by somebody. Or
Right, he
something.
was saying that in nature, there's no way that those trees end up in that position, and it's like every year I take the Christmas lights off my house, and I make them into a nice, neat stack, and I have them organized, and I put them into a box, and they're all nice and neat, and then I put them in the attic, and I don't touch them for a year. A year later, I go to get them out of the box, it's a giant knot.
Got a little knot here. You work on that. I'll get the other box.
You know,
Right.
without anybody touching it. And so
Well,
you
those
can't
are
tell me-
gremlins.
Yeah.
Gremlins are absolutely real.
That's
We know that. There was a movie about them.
Yeah, if it's on TV, it's real. Yeah. I'm gonna pick his nose. I'm gonna do that on camera.
And they also now know how to avoid humans apparently, and apparently short circuit cameras, or they go into the fourth dimension, another dimension, and just phase in and out of reality.
They're gonna have to have a body, so it's gonna have to have a body. No, we don't. We have to have a clear picture. We have to have a bone. We have to have some blood.
Right.
We have to have something like that. Yeah, a neck.
Hair sample,
some
a
scab.
turd, whatever.
We're not asking for a body. Just give me something definitive.
I want to believe in it too. I really do. But
I do. I hope
it's
it's real.
You know, I also want to believe in Santa Claus. And I guess to summarize, we believe it's bullshit. Although we keep an open, at least for me, I keep an open mind about things like that. I think there's a possibility, plausible again, but not probable, just due to science. I mean, it's really all it boils down to. We would see more trail cam footage. There's so much technology now. There's no reason we can't find anything in the world. And again, the bottom line is there's no bones, there's no graves, there's no beds, there's no nothing. All right, guys. So thanks for watching. Yeah, this was definitely different for the Smokescreen channel, but we've been talking about this for a couple months. Just wanted to get it off our chest. He's obviously the definitive Bigfoot expert here. But it's something we've both been watching these shows now for years, a couple of years,
We're
however long they've
passionate
been on.
about the Bigfoot.
Yeah, because it is a cool thing, and we go out camping, you know, we talk about it, make fun of it all the time. If you want to see Chad back on this channel, please say so in the comments, because I've been telling him for the last, 6 months. And we'll keep talking about some other stuff. He's into Game of Thrones and Star Wars a little bit, not quite as much as me, and other shows as well. Fear the Walking Dead. The Walking Dead's coming up.
I'm more the Walking Dead guy. That's me.
So we'll be doing some Walking Dead stuff and other shows in the future. I may do a Fear the Walking Dead series review on the whole entire first season because it was kind of slow, the first 6 episodes, and I could just do all that in one video.
But they might have saved themselves in
They may
episode
have
6.
saved themselves in episode 6, but originally I was going to do a review for every episode like I do Game of Thrones and that type of thing, but it ended up being I can pretty much say everything I need to say in 5 or 10 minutes. So anyway, be on the lookout for that. In the meantime, don't forget to let us know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe to get everything, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.